My name is Courtney. I'm the newest engineer here at Marshall Radio. So basically what I do, I just started a live show in the mornings on our AM station, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I come over into our greatest hits studio, 99.7 KARZ, and I come over to this station here and I pull up our voice tracking programming. So basically I can pre-record my entire show, and I can hear the songs, the commercials, everything on there. So this is kind of how I start my day. I just, plug in my headphones, get started pulling up the programming and everything. So it's the same on every computer in every studio here in our office. So I basically just pull up our programming here, connect to the station that I want to record. Sometimes it takes a couple tries. And then everything, it's got little voice tracks. It shows me exactly what the hour is going to show up as, all the commercials, all the songs, names of the artist, names of the song, everything pops up. So it's just as if I were doing it live. Everything's just pre-recorded. So it's very easy going. The flow is there as if it were live as well. And then on the other screen I have my prep, which is just the stories that I go over. Anything from current events to funny stories or things going on in our area, local, regional news, that sort of thing. So basically, I'll just get started with what I'm doing here. Go to the time that I'm looking for. Really easy to navigate. And I've got a much quieter voice than some of the other guys here, so I do have to adjust the dials down here. Michael Jackson and Smooth Criminal on 99.7 KARZ. Courtney here, kicking off your midday mix. We are moving into your 10 o'clock hour. As we roll through the hour, stick around for all of your favorites from the greatest hits. This hour that's going to include some Pat Benatar on the way. I've got Blues Traveler in the mix as well. A little later you'll hear Chicago, Electric Light Orchestra, and so much more next. It's all just around the corner on 99.7 KARZ. And that was just into a break, kicking off our 10 o'clock hour. Obviously now it's not 10 o'clock in the morning, so that's all happening ahead of time. So it is kind of interesting. I get to go back into my car and hear myself on the radio, so that's kind of fun. And that's basically it. I got, 3 or 4 voice track breaks within an hour, commercial breaks, news and weather sponsors, that sort of thing. So the next one will be a little bit longer, add a little bit more story to it, a little more color, that sort of thing. So then next I would look at which story I want to talk about. And we all have the same prep, so if you listen to any of our stations, we could overlap a little bit, but we like to just kind of keep it light, keep it colorful here, and depending on your audience too. Pat Benatar with Heartbreaker on 99.7 KARZ. Kraft just revealed they've created a special Valentine's Day mac and cheese. It's pink colored and the cheese packet has a candy flavor mixed in. The only way to get it is through a giveaway on their site. We have shared the link to that giveaway on our Facebook page as well, so if you like pink macaroni and cheese, it's out there. I'm going to let you try it. I don't exactly like anything other than the original Kraft mac and cheese. So go out and get your pink colored mac and cheese for Valentine's Day and let me know how it is. We're moving into your CBS News. Stick around for weather on the way next.
I was going to ask you, is every single break that you're doing, is that do you have to meet a specific time frame?
So we basically just keep it under an hour. So this is just like our hour here.
Okay.
If there's 59 minutes, we just have to fill it into the hour. Otherwise, everything is hard synced too. So on a different program, you can see that where it would automatically switch when it gets to a certain time. So we just have to fill it in and make sure it's at least so much time for that hour. But by the time I get in here, we have enough content that we're usually going to skip out on a song or two.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
If you get to a minute in your talk breaks, it is a little long. People tend to switch the station after that. So, but then we have, as well as our prep here, these colorful stories. Our sales staff does a really good job of making like 15-second breaks. If you're, too long on time, it's a really good way to just kind of highlight a local business or an event happening. So the sales staff is really good at coming up with short breaks for us to do too. Journey and Who's Crying Now on 99.7 KARZ. The Marshall Radio Bridal Extravaganza is Sunday, February 21st at Bella Cucina in Marshall. CDC guidelines will be followed, and a limited number of brides will be allowed into the show during specific times. Brides-to-be and their guests can reserve their spots to attend by visiting marshallradio.net. So if you're a bride-to-be out there and you've got any items on your list to check off, head to the Marshall Radio Bridal Extravaganza happening Sunday, February 21st at Bella Cucina in Marshall. So that one I actually did make a mistake. The good thing about voice tracking, you can go back and re-record it. So it's probably my favorite part. I do actually enjoy being live as well, but everyone heard that mistake if you're live. So this way I can go back and make it a little smoother. And that's actually an entire hour. So those 3 talk breaks there, I did an entire hour. So now I've only got 3 more hours of my show. That took me, 7 minutes maybe. So it's actually a quick process. You can make it as quick as you need to or as long as you want. But it's pretty, flexible. You get anybody in here, you teach them how to run it, and it's actually a really cool way to do things. Slade and Runaway on 99.7 KARZ. Courtney here, moving on into your 11 o'clock hour on this Thursday morning. Hope you're having a great day out there. The sunshine's coming out. A little chilly out there, so don't let it be too deceiving. I don't wear a coat usually, so I'm enjoying the weather today. Hope you're having a great day on this Thursday morning. Stick around for more of the greatest hits on the way. I've got Fleetwood Mac in the mix. Foreigner coming up as well, some Bryan Adams, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and so much more. It's happening all just around the corner on 99.7 KARZ.
Would you tell my students your philosophy of hitting the post or using ramp time?
Yes, so that's a good part. It's easy to see on here with the red and the green. This helps it just keep it a little bit more natural. It's really appealing to the ear for listeners in their car, at work. There's music before the lyrics start and after the end and all that, so it's just really kind of nice to hear. It's appealing. I like having it. You can always do it without the music on, but I like having the music in my headphones when I'm talking, because then it kind of adjusts the way that I speak as well. So if it's actually a little bit louder than you think it is, it looks a little bit quieter, it looks a little bit louder, I like to kind of talk with the tone of the music as well. Music is huge for everybody. I personally love music before I got into radio as well, so it's really fun to interact with the music itself too. Yeah. And it's good to have a little bit of knowledge of the songs you're working with. These are a little bit ahead of my time, but I know most of them. They're the greatest hits. We know everything on this station basically, but it's kind of fun to have a little bit of background with that music too. Foreigner in Double Vision on 99.7 KARZ. In a non-pandemic world, how do you feel about first dates on Valentine's Day? According to a new survey, 53% of people say they're comfortable with them, 35% are not, and 12% aren't sure. I never dated in a pandemic. I don't know how I'd feel about that, especially all the pressure of Valentine's Day. I don't know. I'm probably in that 12%. I'm just not too sure about having that first date on Valentine's Day. Time now for your CBS News, being brought to you by the Heartland Eye Care Centers. Alright, so I actually grew up in this area. So I grew up listening to the DJs I'm working with now, which is kind of a really cool experience. You view them as something and you meet them in person and they look completely different than you thought they would. So it's really cool that I get to work with everybody that I was listening to growing up. But in high school I was really into speech and dramatic arts. I was in plays and musicals. I was also huge into athletics and that sort of thing. Going a small town, you're kind of involved in everything, but really into music and speech, and I liked acting on stage. I've been doing that since I was really little too. Into college I stuck with the same thing. Went for communication studies. I wanted to do probably more public relation, kind of across the board. Right now I do all the social media and I run portions of our website here at Marshall Radio. So that studies really helped me in that area, learning how people advertise, when and where to post on certain profiles online, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. So I actually got to study Facebook in college, which was really cool. And then in college, Marshall Radio had a flyer with one of those peel-off tickets on the bottom, looking for part-time work. So when I was in college, I came across the street and I was a board op for a lot of the sports games. Basically, I just ran the commercials, made sure the DJs were on the air, the announcers were able to hear what I was hearing, that sort of thing. So I did that for probably 2 years in college and worked here for a little while after I graduated. I did end up leaving, bounced around a little bit, a couple jobs between then and now, and then I had to come back. It was just too good a fit and really matched my interests really good too.
Hi everybody, my name is Keith Peter Meyer from Melrose, Minnesota. Graduated in 1989. Now in high school, was kind of thinking I wanted to be a teacher. So at that time you had to take a written test once you got into college in order to get into the teaching classes that you needed. And they only took the top 5%. And it wasn't top 5% of, say you were a freshman, a sophomore, or junior. It was the top 5% of everybody that was applying to be a teacher. I didn't get in. So that took me to Brown Institute, where at that time they were located in downtown Minneapolis, right off Lake Street, and got into it, did the 9-month program. Worked at UPS at the time, where I kind of thought I might find a home. But the union went on strike and they put a freeze on hiring upper management, so they didn't know how long that was going to be. So out of that, while I was doing that, I got a great internship at 104.7 KCLD in St. Cloud. Living in downtown Minneapolis at the time, I would drive Friday night after getting off work at UPS at 9 o'clock. I was on air at midnight and worked till 6 in the morning. From there, did that part-time on the weekend, and from there I got a full-time job about 6 months after graduation. Position opened up at Q102 in Wilmer. Go to Wilmer, get the job doing 7 to midnights there. Found an opening in Spearfish, South Dakota. They were launching a new station, and hey, threw my name in the ring, as it were, and landed the job. Funny story, a little tangent on that. My wife and I had no idea how far Spearfish, South Dakota was from Wilmer, Minnesota. We thought, look, it's only this far away on a map. Little did we know, it's like an 11-hour trip. So we ended up staying 2 days. Took the job out there. 2 days after I got to Spearfish, I got a call from the general manager here in Marshall. And I said, I just got here, kind of want to see what happens here. Give me a year. Exactly a year to the day, he called me back. And I said, funny thing is, I am available. Sight unseen, took the job, walked in here, been here for 22 years, and it's never a dull moment. If I have any advice for you, first of all, start working on your quick wits with your friends. Even if it might be inappropriate, throw it out there. See what kind of reaction you get. Kind of judge that way, and it also makes you sharper at saying things. And that way, when you get on a dual-headed morning show, you're quick-witted, the conversation flows. Also, the more broad you can be with your technological background, computers, different versions of software, that type of thing, learn as much as you can. Web design, smaller radio stations, even like our station we consider small. We have 5 radio stations here, but it's still small. We do a lot of that in-house as far as website hosting, and the more you can be involved with that and know what's happening and how to design things and get things to fit and look proper, it's going to help you out. The more diverse you can be, the better off you're going to be. So here we have broadcast tools, one for each station. There are 4 outputs out of each one of these that go directly into the studios, and you can have 16 different incoming sources and 16 what are called pips. And a pip is basically a tone, and what happens is they'll send a tone when they want like to fire a liner. So if you're listening to an NFL game and you hear, hey, it's KARL 105, you're listening to the Minnesota Vikings on KARL 105, that's done through a relay closure which registers on here as a pip. And then if they send a closure, you'll get a pip light, which then will switch it from the feed to a commercial, which is played out of the computers you see here. This is all of the wiring for each one of the studios. So each one of the studios has a 20-pair link going to it. These are for all the satellites that are coming in, and these are all the triggers. And yes, it's all documented. I have a 3-ring binder with 400 pages, and each one of these pair is labeled and written in as to exactly what it does. And from here to here are all the satellites services that we bring in, whether it be Minnesota Twins, Timberwolves, Westwood One, which carries NFL, NCAA basketball. Most of that stuff is carried on KFan or KFan affiliate. And then we also carry Linder Farm Network, Minnesota News Network, ABC News, CBS News. The list goes on and on. It's unbelievable how much stuff comes in to actually make a radio program. These two right here are Tie-Line Corporation. Basically what the Tie-Line does is it's for calling sporting events, doing remotes. This makes your cell phone conversation sound like you and I having a conversation standing next to each other, and you can be anywhere in the world. As long as you have internet, this sounds so much better than back in the day when we used to call them on cell phone. It basically uses fax technology. It changes analog into digital, and then when it gets here, it gets decoded back into analog, and then goes out over the airwaves. But the difference in clarity is unbelievable, and we love them so much that we have 4 different channels, which means we can have 4 different broadcasts going on at one time from 4 different locations, and we use them for sports and remotes. And then if we've got special things going on, like press conferences that are happening in town, that's how we get the audio back here as cleanly as we possibly can. But it's not cheap. I'll tell you that right now. This unit, which is still in production, is about $4,500. The field units, the 2-channel, is $3,500. They don't make that one anymore. They have a 6-channel, which is also $4,500. So, you know, you throw in some headphones, some microphones, you walk out the door with a case, you have a Verizon hotspot you bring with you. In that case, you're probably carrying right around $20,000 worth of equipment, and it's the size of a small suitcase. So a lot of people don't understand, even people that work in the business. Okay, we've got a tower site in Wabasso, we've got a tower site in Lake Benton. We've got a tower site in Ballatin. Well, how do we get the signal from here to those places? Through these. These are microwaves. This one is actually digital. So just like the tie line, this converts an analog into digital, sends it digitally to the tower site, and then converts it back to analog, and then goes through the processing out there, and then finally out the antenna. Funny story about our KARL antenna. We actually had two guys at midnight one night decide they were going to climb the tower after a few beverages. Free climb. So they climbed through the bays, and if you know anything about FM, if you get close to the antenna itself, it can burn you. And they climbed right through it. Never got a scratch, left their initials on the top of the tower, and then climbed down to where the sheriff was waiting for them. Nonetheless, there's tons of stories, tons of pictures, all kinds of great stuff, but that's how we get through microwave, get that out to the tower sites. And our furthest ones away from Marshall to Wabasso as the crow flies, about 35-40 miles, and then from Marshall to Lake Benton, right around that 40-mile mark. So this is a 1,000 watt AM transmitter. It was built in 1971. This puts out 1,000 watts of power, which on the AM band is a lot. I mean, this will go for 500-600 miles. Versus today's technology, this little box right here is a 1,000 watt FM transmitter. Puts out the same amount of power, but as you can see, big difference in size.
And it is time for Chamber Chatter this morning on KMHL. It's brought to you by our friends at Bisbee Plumbing and Heating right here in Marshall. And Brad Gruhat is the president of the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. He joins us each week to visit about what's going on in town. Brad, how you doing? Hey, we're doing great. We're excited for another week ahead here. We're kind of starting to slowly move in the right direction. We've had kind of a quiet week as far as SMSU is concerned, and any changes there with the sports. We're moving in the right direction, I think. Yeah. Yeah, you bet. And we're going to start with a couple of things that we're going to just kind of broadly talk about. First up is those grant dollars that are available as those continue to come in from different sources. And the county right now is dispersing some of those funds, as I understand.
This is a relief package that was approved by the legislature back in December at one of their special sessions. And this is for businesses and nonprofits. Actually, anybody can apply. Go to lionco.org, that stands for Lyon County, lionco.org/relief. Applications are due February 17th, so I'd encourage you, if you have a business, if you know somebody in business that really had a tough time in 2020, to apply for this.
Okay, very good, and that's a great opportunity for a little help along the way. And those are grant dollars too that don't need to be paid back, so take advantage of that if you're in a situation to do so. Also coming up here, we like to talk about new members and membership into the Chamber of Commerce, and that is always something that we want to grow, and you've added another new member this week.
And photographer of AV Photography. This is something that she just has a passion about. She actually has a finance and accounting background, but this is what she wants to do right now, and have at it, right?
Exactly.
Anna Schutte, AV Photography, is the newest member of the Chamber.
All right, very good. And exciting news also out of the Chamber of Commerce this week is that the always wanted coupon books, they're available, they're ready to go.
Also on Wednesday, one of our faithful Chamber Chatter listeners, Mark Clay, stopped by with our new crop of coupon books.
Also, the downtown Marshall businesses have their snow spree coming up.
Well, I graduated from Southwest Minnesota State with a degree in speech communication, radio, television. I actually started here as a part-time evening guy while I was still in college. I remember there was a full-time announcer who had passed, really well, long-time morning show announcer who had passed. Everybody kind of moved up, and the guy who was doing the hiring at the time said, "Hey, would you think this would be a opportunity you'd be interested in?" And I said, "Sure." I jumped at the opportunity and started on KMHL in the evenings, 5 nights a week, and board hopping games and calling a few games and things like that. And then graduated from the university, and shortly thereafter 9/11 happened, and that day obviously a very difficult day, but filled in and helped out with news that day because there was a lot of stuff that was going on. And the news director shortly thereafter took a different job and left. And general manager just kind of approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in jumping in on the news position?" Did that by itself for a year. Then the sports director left, and then the guy, Ryan, I don't know if you met him or not, but Ryan and I teamed up and were co-sports directors for a long time here for 13 or 14 years. I had always kind of wanted to go into the sales side of the business, and wasn't really getting there after that long, so I left for a couple years to go sell some insurance and kind of cut my teeth in sales. And when an opportunity opened up to get back here to do sales, I jumped at it and kind of became the sales guy and a news director for a little bit. And then when the management position opened, I was moved into that position in October. So it's literally been one of those stories where you just keep working your way up. That's a little bit about how I got to this position and how we got here, and there's so much of that in this industry. So much of, if you can, if you can go and meet some people and get to know some people and prove yourself and keep having opportunities and work hard, you can work your way all the way up in this position and in this business, and that's one of the great things I love about it. It's a very interesting time in media right now. I'll be honest with you, just from looking at it through a lot of different lenses. We are seeing the impacts that social media and things like that have played on our industry. 10 years ago we were talking about what impact will social media have on media as a whole, and we're seeing it every day. We are seeing the power that the media has every day with what we're going through right now. And so I think one thing that if I talk to high schoolers that were serious about going into media, I would really encourage them to, one, go about getting a broad-based knowledge of government, of healthcare right now. Those are huge things. Get that knowledge so that you can present that to your viewers or listeners or readers or wherever you end up in the media industry, and be able to present it in a manner that is factual and neutral, and know the difference between reporting and opining. There is so much going on today that crosses that line and grays that line, and I really think, on both sides, I really think that as a media, we need to get back to what our job is, and that's to keep the public informed and to stay out of all that other stuff. We need to literally get back to helping people understand and believe in the truth and the facts, and then allowing them to decide rather than pushing our beliefs and facts, or our beliefs or what we believe is facts on people. That would be the biggest thing for somebody who wants to go into media, that wants to go into the news industry or wants to be on the radio or on TV. That would be the biggest message to them that I would say is get that broad-based knowledge so you can present that information in a factual manner.
Okay.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges in our industry right now.
Yes.
You know, we all talk about like yellow journalism, right? And remember that period. We're in it again today. I mean, we are. Big screaming headlines. It drives clicks. It drives views. It drives listeners. It drives readers. I mean, we're right there again. And, you know, I just look at that from such a, you know, we had to go through that muckraking period afterwards to kind of clean everything up. I think that's where the industry's going. I wholeheartedly believe it. In the next 5 years, we're going to see a big change in this industry, and it's going to be back to that direction, because if you watch it on social media today, you're seeing it already. People are sick of seeing that stuff all the time. And it's going to start changing.
Yeah.